The Galactic Academy's final examination was legendary across 17 star systems. Only the most resilient species even attempted it. The survival test on planet Kellen 7 had broken warriors, crushed the hopes of entire civilizations, and maintained a failure rate of 93%. Jake Morrison from Detroit stood in the staging area, chewing gum and looking remarkably unbothered. Human candidate, the proctor, a crystalline Valkyrie named Shimrath, chimed with barely concealed disdain. You understand the parameters. 7 solar rotations. Extreme climate variance. Predatory megafauna. No technology beyond basic survival tools. Most species prepare for years. Jake shrugged. Yeah, camping trip. Got it. Shimratha's fractals flickered with what might have been concern. In 3 centuries of administering this exam, she had never seen such casual indifference. The human hadn't even reviewed the environmental briefing. The other candidates were less cavalier. Thorax, a Quellan hunter with 6 combat certifications, had spent 18 months in simulation training. His exoskeleton bore ritual markings from his clan's most sacred survival ceremony. Beside him, Vixala of the amphibious Reethi people performed complex breathing exercises, her gills fluttering with premission anxiety. Then there was Zeke, a young Maltaran barely past adolescence, whose people had never passed this exam. His purple skin showed stress patterns as he repeatedly checked his equipment. Candidates, take your positions, Shimrath announced. The transport field hummed, and reality twisted. Jake materialized in a dense jungle, the air thick and humid. He took a deep breath, smiled, and said to nobody in particular, smells like Louisiana in August. Within the first hour, Thorax had constructed an elaborate shelter using advanced knotwork techniques passed down through 40 generations. Vixala had located a water source and established a secure perimeter. Both were following textbook survival protocols. Jake found a tree with large leaves, made a crude lean-to in about 15 minutes, and decided that was good enough. Then he went looking for food. That's when things got interesting. The Kellen 7 native fauna were notoriously aggressive. The apex predator, a reptilian beast the Academy called a razorback, had killed 17 candidates over the years. When one emerged from the underbrush near Jake's position, Shimrath prepared to activate the emergency extraction. Jake looked at the creature, a 12-foot horror of scales, claws, and teeth. Well, aren't you a big guy, he muttered, then did something unprecedented. He threw a rock at it. Not in defense. Just to see what would happen. The razorback, confused by prey that didn't run, hesitated. Jake picked up a stick, made it whistle through the air a few times, and the creature's predatory instincts warred with its confusion. When Jake started walking toward it while making loud noises, the razorback did something it had never done in observed history. It backed away. Yeah, that's what I thought, Jake said, then went back to looking for berries. Shimratha's monitoring team was in chaos. Did the human just intimidate a razorback? By day 3, Thorax was struggling. His meticulously planned shelter had been destroyed by a storm he hadn't predicted. His emergency rations were running low. Vixala was in better shape but exhausted from constant vigilance. Both were operating exactly as their training dictated: survive, endure, extract. Jake, meanwhile, had befriended a pack of what the Academy classified as moderately dangerous scavengers. He'd named them. The alpha was Doug. See, Doug gets it, Jake explained to the surveillance drone, offering the creature a fish he'd caught. You don't eat me, I share the food. Basic economics. Zeke, the young Maltaran, was having a crisis. His shelter had flooded, he'd lost half his supplies, and he was on the verge of triggering his emergency beacon. That's when he stumbled into Jake's camp. Whoa, hey there, purple dude, Jake said, looking up from the fire he was building. You look rough. Want some food? Zeke's translator struggled with Jake's casual dialect, but the offer of fish was universal. You, share. We are competitors. Nah, man, we're just people trying not to die. Have a seat. Over the next 4 days, something unprecedented occurred. Jake didn't just share resources with Zeke, he taught him. Not academic survival techniques, but human survival philosophy, adaptability over preparation, creativity over protocol, and the revolutionary concept that not everything in the jungle wanted to kill you. Watch, Jake demonstrated, approaching one of the highly dangerous Kellen beetles. Instead of avoiding it, he observed its behavior pattern, noticed it was attracted to certain fungi, and used that knowledge to predict its movement. See? It's not evil. It's just doing beetle things. Zeke's analytical mind absorbed this approach like a sponge. His species had always followed rigid survival doctrines. The idea of working with the environment rather than against it was transformative. By day 6, Zeke wasn't just surviving. He was thriving. His stress patterns had vanished, replaced by something Shimrath had never seen in a Maltaran: confident improvisation. When extraction came on day 7, all candidates had survived, a first in Academy history. Thorax and Vixala were exhausted but successful. Zeke emerged transformed, his biology already showing adaptation markers that would take generations to manifest naturally. Jake walked out eating a piece of fruit, with Doug the scavenger following him like a pet. Candidate Morrison, Shimrath chimed, her crystalline form pulsing with confusion. You violated 17 protocols, ignored 43 safety guidelines, and somehow domesticated an apex predator. Doug's not an apex predator, Jake corrected. He's a good boy. Aren't you, Doug? The creature, whose species had never shown pack bonding with non-natives, wagged something that might have been a tail. The real shock came 3 months later when Zeke returned to his homeworld and began teaching human-style adaptation techniques. Within a year, Maltaran survival rates increased by 300%. Their rigid cultural approach to hostile environments underwent a philosophical revolution. The Galactic Academy added a new note to Earth's file: humans don't survive harsh environments. They make friends with them. Approach with caution. And snacks. They always have snacks. Jake Morrison, for his part, adopted Doug and moved to a colony world where the fishing was excellent and nobody cared if your best friend was technically an alien apex predator. He never did understand why everyone made such a big deal about camping.